Good Wednesday morning. You found us here at the Weather Desk. I'm Meteorologist Craig Moeller. We're glad you're here. Here's what we have for you today, the top weather headlines. There's a lot to go over, starting with some development in the tropics. We're going to talk about what was potential tropical cyclone number 1, what could become Arthur. We're going to watch for that. We have the severe weather outlook, and it is going to be, I think, a violent day in the central U.S., parts of Illinois and Indiana, with a moderate threat of severe storms, including an elevated risk of tornadoes. So we've been looking at this. We are anticipating quite a bit of storm development as we go through the afternoon. We already have some watches out in anticipation of that, so we'll update you there. We're also going to talk generator safety, a very sad story out of Indiana with some folks dying with problems with a generator following storms that came through over the weekend. You know, if you don't have proper ventilation around those things, you can have exhaust buildup, and unfortunately that took the lives of 2 people. So we'll talk a little bit about generator safety. We're also tracking some aquatic creatures off the coast, some things we don't often see close to our coast here in Virginia, but we're going to talk about those things, and then we're going to talk about the likelihood of increased shark activity for other coasts around the U.S. and which areas El Nino may come into play as we get into that abnormal warming of those eastern Pacific waters. So more on that coming up. In addition, we have more heat, and I'll tell you, some dangerous heat on the way to Virginia. A couple of weather impact alerts to share with you, but with the heat coming, we've got some information on Virginia cooling assistance. We'll talk about when the heat breaks and what you can expect heading into the Father's Day weekend. And then we're going to look ahead to Sail250. So much going on. We'll talk about how you can see some of the activities if you can't make it down there, and talk about some of the great times to get down to Town Point Park here in Hampton Roads to enjoy all of the tall ships coming into our beautiful port and everything going on at Town Point Park. It is going to be an incredible Harbor Fest this upcoming weekend. All right, but we're going to start off with tracking the tropics and what's been going on. You can see again this system. We've been watching this cluster of storms looking a little more impressive with the cloud tops here. This is color enhanced to give you a feel for the coldest cloud tops. And as we zoom into the area, you can see how things have played out. This is in the western Gulf. This has already been a big rainmaker for portions of Texas, and this area of low pressure with the 8 a.m. advisory still potential, what we call PTC, potential tropical cyclone 1, could become Tropical Storm Arthur if the Hurricane Center decides they want to classify this. Again, most of the convection's a little farther offshore, so they may not do it if that convection or storminess is still away from the center of this thing, and it's so close to land, I don't know that it'll actually take the name or not, but it may strengthen a little bit, and it's so close that the Hurricane Center didn't want to wait too long and then have it all of a sudden be a tropical system on the coast. So they've gone ahead and they put out the modeling and done some of the special messaging they do, the Hurricane Center does, with this PTC-1. So it's forecast to move off to the northeast, and as it does so, that low tracking into Louisiana, there will be very heavy rain back across this coastal area, especially Louisiana, and then that heavy rain spreading up into Mississippi and Alabama. There are tropical storm warnings out from the state line right there in Louisiana all the way through the central Louisiana coast, and then tropical storm watches back towards Houston and Galveston, that area, and down towards the central Texas coastline. So that's what's happening right now. Now, if we were to have this thing become Arthur, it would happen a little bit ahead of schedule. You can see we're still a few days between kind of the normal kind of average date for the first named system. That takes place June 20th. July 17th, we typically get our second named system. And then just looking back at history and the averages, we averaged the third around August 3rd, the fourth by the 15th, and the fifth by the 22nd of August. Of course, the peak of the hurricane season right around the 10th or so of September. So we are just starting our tropical season. And again, we do have this potential tropical cyclone we're watching. As I mentioned, big rainmaker for parts of Louisiana. Could see 6 to 9 inches of rain. This is from the Weather Prediction Center. You can see their rainfall modeling calling for very heavy rain. Some parts of Louisiana. New Orleans could pick up an inch or two. Dexter, 4 to 6 inches. Mobile, right there at the bay, you can see 2 to 4 inches, and then heavy amounts through southern parts of Alabama and the Florida Panhandle as well. This area really moisture starved. They were in severe and exceptional drought, this part of the country. We'll be getting a new drought monitor update coming out tomorrow morning. But again, some heavy rainfall for this area. A lot of these folks will welcome it. Some areas don't want that much. Obviously, you don't want flooding rains, but this will help with the dry conditions for parts of the southeast. Now, some things to think about. Obviously, we have PTC1 forming there very close to the Texas coastline. We're going to continue to watch the rest of the Atlantic, but now it's all quiet. Everything else, no big problems. We do want to keep an eye on the potential for flooding around Houston and especially back over across Louisiana, including New Orleans and then southern parts of Mississippi and Alabama. We'll be watching all of that as we go over the next 24 hours. Here's a look at the radar. Again, the deeper convection kind of offshore, but still some rain spreading up, and there have been some flood warnings issued. Let's take this full because this is a new flood warning. I do want to take a little closer look at that as we zoom into this area, and I'm going to adjust the radar. You can see that heavy rain coming through Richwood and Brazosport. As we look up towards the Houston area and just off to the east, we do have this flood warning now. So let me give you the information because there are a lot of people under this flood warning. This area here, including 400,000 under the flood advisory, there is 536,000. So lots of folks here obviously concerned with the excessive rainfall. And this is going to continue through 10:30 a.m. Wednesday. That's Central Time. For us here on the East Coast, it's 11:30. So that's what we're looking at with those warnings. Now, this has been an issue. It will continue to be an issue, this potential for excessive rain. And the South is already feeling the impacts from this system. Again, as I've been pointing out, several states have been dealing with the flooding now for a few days. Look at these conditions. This is in Woodlands, Texas on Tuesday. Heavy rain washed out road stranding drivers. ABC's Sophie Flay has a closer look at how people along the Gulf Coast are dealing with it.
This morning, millions along the Gulf Coast bracing for a potential tropical storm, which could become the first named storm of the hurricane season. The threat comes after days of heavy rain and deadly flooding across Texas. Outside San Antonio, one woman was killed after her vehicle was carried into a creek. Authorities say she called 911, but the call dropped out. In Waco, first responders rescued more than 20 people on Sunday alone, including Chris Curitan, whose SUV got caught in the raging floodwaters.
All of a sudden, when I was driving, another rush of water came and kind of hit me. I kind of rose up within 2 minutes, 60 seconds to 2 minutes.
Chris says he clung to a tree until help arrived, but firefighters were unable to reach him. That's when the boat squad from Texas A&M Task Force 1 moved in.
It was extremely difficult. They were able to drive their boat, maneuvering through trees and dodging debris as well. Getting over to Chris, and Chris was able to jump into the boat.
Relentless downpours have flooded neighborhoods across the region. Vehicles stranded north of Houston after up to 4 inches of rain fell.
Emergency managers say the rain was coming down at about an inch every 15 minutes at one point, stressing the city's bayous.
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Just an incredible amount of rain there. And again, the outlook for excessive rainfall, very likely they see more areas with some flash flooding across Louisiana, back up into southern parts of Mississippi. Just want to give you a few of the towns here that are going to be watching. You can see, and that warning is from Sabine Pass, and it continues back across the central part of the Louisiana coastline. A lot of this area, just kind of some bayou and swampland down their way. But again, those coastal waters, we're going to be watching that. Now, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, Jackson, you can see Mandeville, New Orleans, all need to be prepared to deal with excessive rainfall. Hattiesburg, Wiggins, all the way back over into the southwest part of Alabama, all those areas with the potential for excessive rainfall. They're not the only ones, though. Take a look up here around Chicagoland. Excessive rainfall, not from the tropical system, but from the potential for severe weather. This is what I want to talk to you about right now, the severe weather outlook. And you can see widespread severe storms expected with this risk here. This is a moderate threat of severe storms for Illinois and into Indiana. There's an enhanced risk, which includes St. Louis all the way out to just east of Kansas City. This also includes western portions of Ohio up to Chicago. So a very good chance for severe storms. And then strong tornadoes, EF2 or greater, anywhere where you see these white hashtags. And you can see this elevated risk up to a 4th tier here. A 15% chance of a tornado forming within 25 miles of any point within this region, shaded in this darkest red. This is a setup for a tornado outbreak. We'll see what all develops, but we're going to be watching this very carefully. Peoria, Springfield, Champaign, again, Kankakee, all the way up to Chicago, Lafayette, Indianapolis now included in that higher risk area, South Bend, Indiana, Fort Wayne, Muncie, Lima, Dayton, Ohio, all of these areas really needing to stay very weather aware with this severe weather threat. This is for today. There's a very low risk down along the Gulf Coast here. That's associated with the tropical system or potential tropical cyclone. This is a storm system that is just moving across the central U.S., and this one is going to work east, bringing us a chance for severe weather here around Hampton Roads, and it extends all the way up through New England, down through the Mid-Atlantic region. And for our area here in Hampton Roads, South Side Peninsula, Middle Peninsula, Northern Neck, Eastern Shore, all with a level 2 or slight risk. The southernmost parts of the south side, southern Virginia Beach, down around the Dismal Swamp, southern Chesapeake, into Suffolk and areas into North Carolina, level 1 threat. We are going to be watching the radar carefully tomorrow late day and tomorrow evening for potential stronger storms. So that's what's out there. Now, the good news for our area as far as the severe weather threat, the primary threat is not tornadoes, but rather gusty winds. I do think we could see some stronger winds, just outflow from those storms. We will, of course, keep you updated. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, severe weather turns deadly in the Midwest due to the improper use of generators. What you need to know in order to safely use one. Welcome back to the weather desk. Right here, I have the radar turned on. Here's Chicago. You can see St. Louis here, and we have multiple thunderstorm warnings back across portions of Iowa, pushing into Illinois. There is a tornado watch here that was issued not too long ago. This is going to run through 3 o'clock this afternoon. There's 2.8 million people under that watch. Champaign, McLean, Peoria, Sangamon, some of the different communities here in central Illinois, and things will continue to ramp up this afternoon and into the early evening. Now, this is tough because these storms hitting an area that was really impacted over the weekend, and sadly, the storms in the Midwest did turn deadly due to the improper use of portable generators. This is a look at the damage left behind a tornado in Maryville, Indiana over the weekend. Okay, that's about 45 miles outside, or 45 minutes outside of Chicago. This morning, we know one couple died and at least 6 others were hospitalized due to carbon monoxide poisoning. This was after using generators for power after that storm. Michelle Gallardo reports from Portage.
Lakeshore Camp Resort. It was here that emergency officials were called to Saturday morning after Deborah and Salvatore Fogu were found dead inside their mobile home.
I sat up last night and cried.
The couple, originally from Palos Hills, died, according to the coroner, from carbon monoxide poisoning due to a portable generator they were using following last week's storms.
It was outside the home, but too close to the window, or I should say close enough to the window that it ended up getting in.
The Fogu's deaths have reverberated across the campgrounds, which serve as the summer home for many. Its proximity to the Indiana dunes attracting people like the couple, known for their generosity of spirit over many years coming here.
I ran into hard times, and I couldn't find a job or nothing. He took me on, gave me a job.
While Portage was not as severely impacted as Maryville, Hobart, and other parts of northwest Indiana, its north side sustained heavy tree damage, leaving many without power and dependent on portable generators for electricity. City officials here saying in a separate incident, 6 people had to be hospitalized.
The generator is either being put too close to the home, right by a window where the exhaust is blowing into the window, or some cases of people putting it in their garage.
Dottie Ripple and her husband may have added to that tally, if not for a brand new CO alarm they had just installed prior to the storms.
We had it out on the back patio, not realizing that the fumes would go up that high. So yeah, 3:30 in the morning I was sitting outside.
Meanwhile, officials are urging residents to place generators outside only, keeping them at least 20 feet away from homes, windows, and doors, to know where the exhaust is blowing and keep it away from people, and to install CO alarms on every level of their homes.
And again, this area back in the central U.S., an area that is bracing for another round of severe weather later today. All right, we're going to take another break. As millions of Americans get ready to go on vacation, scientists are warning, be cautious at the beach. The reason why the U.S. could see more great white sharks than usual this summer. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. The waters off the coast of Virginia and North Carolina have been active this week. And I'm not just talking about surfers. Check this out. This map from the nonprofit OCEARCH shows a massive sea turtle is making waves in the Atlantic. Tupelo, a 4'11", 630-pound loggerhead pinged near Kitty Hawk on Tuesday. Loggerheads are considered a threatened species, and experts say data like this helps protect them during nesting season along the Outer Banks. Tupelo isn't the only marine life swimming along the coast. A great white shark named Ernst also pinged near the eastern shore on Monday. Now, Ernst is a 12-foot-long great white, weighs 1,000 pounds. Researchers have been tracking her up and down the East Coast and even in the Gulf since last October. All right, it turns out the U.S. could see more great white sharks than usual this summer. And fortunately for us here in the Mid-Atlantic, this is especially going to be the case out on the West Coast. They can have the extra great whites. Here's the reason why. The El Nino. The National Weather Service says this year's El Nino will be very strong, fueling warming waters faster than in years past. Scientists say Southern California is most likely to see the surge in sharks.
We know there's safety in numbers.
Okay.
Statistically, it is very rare for somebody to be bitten if they're in a group, but they're more likely to be bitten if they're by themselves. So swim together, surf together, it's more fun anyway, and it's safer. I always tell people, look, if you spend any amount of time in the water off Southern California, I guarantee a white shark swim by you and you did not know it.
Something to think about. The 2015 El Nino set the stage for the highest number of shark attacks around the world. California registered 2 attacks on humans that year by hammerheads. The first for the species, which typically prefers warmer tropical waters. All right, we'll take a quick live look outside. The heat is building in Hampton Roads. What to know ahead of tomorrow and Friday's weather impact alerts. We have a weather impact alert for Hampton Roads tomorrow afternoon. Feels like temperatures 100 to 105. And then on Friday with showers and storms potentially impacting Sail250. We also have a weather impact alert. Watch the forecast for changes. We'll let you know how things are shaping up. I want to remind you, for information on Virginia cooling assistance, go to our website, 13newsnow.com. We've got an article right there on the front page. You can also stay up on our forecast by downloading downloading the 13 News Now mobile app. We're going to have special coverage of Sail250 and the entire HarborFest weekend. You definitely want to check it out. I want to thank you for checking out the Weather Desk. We'll see you next time.